Greetings, friends. I imagine Benjamin Fulford Weekly reports the global revolution against the Hazar Group is accelerating with the systematic arrests of leading agents around the world. At the same time, the Khazars are trying to turn off the internet, provoke a hunger crisis and promote a fake alien invasion, fighting for survival. To begin with, let's look at all the prominent American and Western rulers who had a positive test, which is why they were arrested. Prince Charles, Nancy Pelosi, Attorney General Merrick Garland, Christine Lagarde, President of the European Central Bank and puppet head of the International Monetary Fund. Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, CIA Director William Burns, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Adam Schiff, Jen Psaki, Kamala Harris's husband Doug Emhoff, Muriel Bowser, Mayor of Washington, D.C. It's strange that some people get sick at the same time, the source comments. This is a clear sign that the Rothschild Group, the Rockefeller Group, which organizes the fake presidential spy operation of Bidon, is removed. As a result, these days the can stops working properly, saying something like, "I was in the foothills of the Himalayas with Xi Jinping, traveled with him, that is, when I traveled 17,000 miles when I was vice president." I don't know that for sure. There is also a big battle going on over Hunter Bidon and his burdensome laptop. This laptop campaign is being run from Switzerland and is being run by the Rockefeller clique in the USA. CIA sources say, Hunter had an overdose 5 months ago, and he disappeared from the screen. This means that you don't have anyone to bring to trial, and therefore the Democrats will try to prevent the evidence from being placed in the files. This is the last battle. At the same time, we are now seeing concrete legal actions aimed at overturning the stolen elections that marked the beginning of this whole nightmarish regime. For example, the Attorney General of Arizona publicly stated that fraud was committed in the 2020 election. Now justice must be done. The noose tightens tighter and tighter. However, this does not necessarily mean that Donald Trump will be appointed President of the United States again, according to CIA sources. Because the Trump, who is now appearing in public, is an actor, and it is unclear whether the real Trump is still among us. It is more likely that Joe Biden will go down in history as the last President of the United States, and that the country will be replaced by something better with a real American hero at the head. Events will clarify this sooner rather than later. Of course, the Hazar Group is fighting for its survival with their hands and feet, voicing all the worst threats. Klaus Schwab Rothschild of the World Economic Forum describes a terrifying scenario of a comprehensive cyberattack that will shut down electricity, transportation, hospitals and our societies as a whole. A crisis with a well-known situation would be a relatively minor upset in this regard. Klaus: the MOP cyberattack is worse than the crisis 19. The power system is out of order. Banks are disconnected. There is now extensive evidence that the Hazar Group is trying very hard to create food shortages around the world. They are also still trying to manipulate world public opinion with mass attacks that put them in the place of others. The Hazar Group goes for everything. They don't know any other way, the source warns. Last week we also saw what looked like a desperate attempt to resurrect Barack Obama as an antidote to a poorly performing and widely despised can. Note that both Obama and Bidon, jokingly, say that Bidon is the vice president. Of course, even the return of Obama as the avatar of the US president will not change anything in the fact that this regime is now an international party. For example, the rulers of the former puppet states of the United States, Saudi Arabia and Abu Dhabi, refused to visit Bidon or even answer his calls. Mexico also restricts its relations with the wrong Bidon regime. Mexican intelligence also gave us a detailed account of its view on the United States and its cocaine import agency, CIA. This document offers a completely different picture of history than the one we were taught. For example, it is alleged that U.S. President Franklin Roosevelt and Russian Joseph Stalin have been involved in a plot to conquer the Earth since the 1930s. Mexican document: it says that Stalin and Roosevelt planned to invade Germany, France and Italy long before the outbreak of World War II, and also intended to take over the British Empire, China and the rest of the world. This is partially confirmed by a CIA source who admits that Russia and the United States have been allies since the days of President Lincoln. Mexicans say that the British royal family found out about this plan and bought the Americans, offering them control over their global business for the production of banned substances. Thus, they say, the CIA has become the largest trafficker of illicit drugs in the world. Meanwhile, part of the CIA controlled by the group is desperately fighting to maintain its banned business in Afghanistan, trying to overthrow the government of Pakistan. They use the same scenario as in the takeover of the Federal Reserve Board in 1913, a midnight vote by bribed politicians to overthrow Prime Minister Imran Khan. Of course, the ground was prepared in advance by economic sabotage. The head of Hazar Pharmaceuticals, Bill Gates, clearly played a key role in this. However, mass demonstrations across the country make it clear that the struggle is far from over. Another sign that a tough fight against bribed politicians is ahead is the fact that the Federal Police of Pakistan has stated that leading public figures need a security certificate if they want to travel. In any case, the attempt to establish a group-friendly regime in Pakistan is part of a desperate and doomed attempt to break the helm in the world. The leaders who are still in alliance with the Hazar group can be counted on the fingers of one hand. Justin Castro from Canada, Emmanuel Macron from France, Fumio Kishida from Japan, Boris Johnson from the UK and Vladimir Zelensky from Ukraine. Of course, there are still many pseudo-leaders who have been bribed with Vatican bank accounts to support the entire fake architecture of the Khazars. Most of the so-called leaders voting at the UN have similar bills for bribes. MI6 says that the UN is a private company based in California, and not a real representative of the peoples of the world. The Russians agree with this. There is no doubt that with the beginning of the Russian special operation in Ukraine, a whole historical era has come to an end. According to the president of Belarus Alexander Lukashenko, against the background of the growing confrontation between the main players, a new denouement between East and West is emerging. The current unprecedented sanctions against Russia will lead to the further collapse of all international institutions. Especially the UN, says Dmitry Medvedev, deputy chairman of the Russian Security Council. Of course, the battle is not over yet. For example, in China, there seems to be a serious attempt to overthrow the government. This is especially noticeable in Shanghai. Here is the information sent to us by the CIA of East Asia. According to an expert from the Chinese Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, Shanghai's new lockdown protocols are destroying the city and putting it on the verge of collapse. Tests alone lead to massive chaos, as no one seems to know what you are doing and why. Shanghai was forced to issue a notice due to conflicting information urging employees to respond to public inquiries, in accordance with policy. Residents of the area also complain about their test results, which are displayed negative on their mobile phones, but positive in the system. There seems to be no explanation for why the results are inconsistent. This has all the features of a Masonic order out of chaos movement to create a revolution, making people so unpleasant that they have no choice but to overthrow the authorities. The Hazar group will also use their old tactics to be kind and represent benevolent shepherds to calm the sheep. For example, we are witnessing an ongoing attempt to use Elon Musk and his acquisition of Twitter to create a controlled opposition and a new narrative. The problem is that even if Elon buys 9% of Twitter, the rest will still be controlled by the Rockefeller front's Rothschild. Speaking of the changing narrative, Agent Greta Thunberg from Monaco now publicly declares that climate change does not exist. There are more and more signs this week that Operation Bluebeam is well underway. On this front, the Pentagon has published 1,500 pages of classified documents about the shadow UFO program. It says, among other things, that UFO encounters have led to radiation burns, brain and nervous system damage in Americans, and even to unexplained pregnancy. Quote.